Unsystematic risk is often called diversifiable risk. Systematic risk, on the other hand, is often called undiversifiable risk. It is because of unsystematic risk or diversifiable risk that portfolios have less risk for a given level of return than individual shares. As we saw in the module on the calculation of portfolio risk, it is less than the weighted average of the risks of the shares in the portfolio. This is because of unsystematic risk. The implication of this is that we should be able to eliminate all unsystematic risk if we have a large enough portfolio. But how many shares or other investments do we need to achieve that? In theory, we need to invest in all possible investments in the market, and this is obviously not realistic. But if we look at what happens to the risk of a portfolio as we add more and more shares, we can draw some useful conclusions. This graph charts the total risk of a portfolio as we add shares. The first few shares result in a significant reduction in risk, but as we add more and more shares, the reduction in risk from each additional share gets less and less. As we know, it is the unsystematic or diversifiable risk that is being reduced. There will be an underlying level of systematic risk that cannot be reduced through diversification. In theory, if we have enough shares, we can eliminate all unsystematic risk, as the level of total risk approaches the level of systematic risk. But in practice, we can eliminate the majority of unsystematic risk with a portfolio of about 10 to 20 shares. Any more than that, and the extra reduction in risk is outweighed by the extra transaction costs, such as brokerage fees associated with buying so many shares. This is an estimate and depends on the specific shares selected. Whether the right number is closer to 10 or 20 depends on how closely correlated the shares are. If they are in different industries, or better still, different countries, they are likely to be less correlated, and therefore fewer shares are needed to get the most practical benefit from diversification.